thank you to Cody for their generous donation on Patreon.
I fucking love the song on this. Let me turn it up so y'all fucking hear it. Yeah, fucking love this menu song, man. God damn it. I love it so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hayseed Night. On the last episode, Anna got pissed, and now we're gonna try to hopefully figure it out. Also, we got in a fight, and there was some fan fiction going around. But now it's time to get back to one of my favorite visual novels, written by one of the most interesting motherfuckers. I'm serious. Maxi, the dev of this game, is one of the most interesting people I have ever met. Like, ever. I fucking love talking to them, hearing stuff about their life. Like, god damn it. Anyway.
Our protagonist wandered back toward the increasingly empty and silent plaza, unsure of where he was headed next. His victory had been but a brief rush against mediocrity, and now that he was alone, his mind sought the comfort of a familiar place, a seething pit in his chest. No, he had no business there. Ed had spent enough nights hungry and alone, and to learn that to eat his emotions for dinner. But still, his stomach protested, demanding to know when the next real meal would arrive. He could only walk a little farther to chase those thoughts away. No matter how resilient he was, he would eventually get tired and stagger his way back home, fall asleep in his little corner, dream a sleepless dream, and wake up to a drunk Yoff crashing in. He'd head off to work, and Anna would get him some food. That's right, he had no doubt in his heart that his boss would come back. What had he made such a fuss for? Anna had never missed a single day of work in the whole year he'd been working for her. Anyway, she was way stronger than him. What could he do? He had no reason to say grand words or worry like he did. He never had. The sparse groups of civilians and visitors all around him still celebrated this blessed day. Dances and melodies and pastries adrift from down yonder the steps would never be allowed to take part in. This was just another empty day in the life of Hayseed, son of Gafaz. An abrupt lapse of lucidity made Ada turn his head away from his hooves at last. His ears perked up, and his fur stood on end as he tried to make sense of the careless trip he'd just taken. The music was deafening all around him, the crowd untraversable. He didn't know how far he'd walked or how he'd managed to make some space for himself, but it was obvious now that he had stumbled into some sort of performance. A stage where the whole city would be looking. What a dream. But a remote voice in the back of his thoughts told him that he didn't have time to find out what kind of show could attract such a crowd, that he was not where he was supposed to be.
Oh shit. Oh shit!
He knew his gut hadn't been lying to him when he caught sight of a small flickering light coming from a discreet tent around which the crowd seemed to be oddly absent. His eye wouldn't budge away from the curious flame shining in the dark. He sensed its offer, warm and loud. Ada didn't even consider for 1 second that he may have been too hungry to think straight. He ignored all the warnings common sense would have taught him, and marched straight into the tent. Dusk was still a ways off, but it may as well have been midnight inside. Ada combed the darkness desperately, startled by the sudden change in illumination. Sweet, frightful clarity once more.
What? I can't do a fucking Adder impression. That accent is too particular, and I am not near skilled enough. What in the name of the Hatter was I thinking? I can't fucking do it. I'm sorry.
He pondered in the breathless silence as his mind started conjuring bandits, assassins, and monsters, ready to tear his cape to pieces and fashion toothpicks out of his horns for having been so reckless.
Ooh, a bright light.
But he didn't get to fret for long, as his fears were interrupted by the birth of a flame in the corner of his sight. Its flare grew with unmeasured force, blinding him for a moment. He struggled to regain his vision, fearing those foes that only lived in his mind. Foes he wouldn't face today either.
Blinking. What the fuck?
Bathing in the light of an orb that was filled with fire, shaded in ways that made no sense whatsoever, awaited a feminine silhouette. A very feminine silhouette.
Oh,
Took
hey.
you long enough.
There they are. Oh, boy.
Of course it was her.
Yeah, it's not a living.
It was so abrupt. God's not living.
And all of a sudden, Ada wished he'd found a bandit instead. At least he would have known where to look then. He tried to fix his gaze on her eyes, shining above a thin pink veil that covered most of her face. But that was in vain. The sequins that hung from her neck reflected the light all over the room, dragging Ada's attention right back to them in the scarf that covered the bare minimum. I have 1,000 words to call the woman in front of him, and none of them are good. So let's just say that what she was wearing would be inappropriate now, let alone then.
Don't just stand there. Take a seat.
Take a lot of things, why don't you?
I don't know. I've been sitting on my tail all day, and I got places to go, and I don't usually share tents with ladies, and...
Oh, man, what am I gonna do? I'm about to bust a nut.
Judging by her glare, she wasn't going to take no for as an answer. Oof.
Well, if you insist.
What am I saying? It'd have been mighty ugly of me to reject an invitation.
To reject never Tom, man.
Ada did as asked and sat down on one of the many pillows laying around.
little sliding up.
Pretending to be crazy, escaping, begging the gods for mercy, breaking down and claiming that he wasn't, in fact, a horn-eater. That this was just a mistake and he shouldn't be here. Ada's mind was bustling with ways of getting out of that situation. So, of course, whenever his mind was busy, his mouth was free to speak as it pleased.
Hi.
He spoke with a voice more akin to that of a fawn, whose antlers are just beginning to sprout, than that of a fully grown deer.
I'm at her, or nice place. She already knows who you are, but I guess confidence?
I'm Anderson, son of Gerfath, the buck who farms the highest hill in my village, Ravina Otis. So, here and there, just about everywhere, folks know me as Adder, of the upper field.
She is not impressed. Let's see how she reacts with nice place.
Nice place you got here. I like your cushions.
She seems surprised. Let's go with this one for now.
These cushions over here and over there, and they sure are comfy. What are they made of? They gotta be the comfiest cushions ever. Can I bounce on them, ma'am?
Okay, cushions. I didn't catch that until he started going nuts about it, but yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah. Oh, she's not happy with
Okay, but I'm talking about your cushions. Not your cushions, all right? I'm not gonna bounce on either, just want to make that crystal clear.
that.
A mocking chuckle stabbed.
I feel like we might have judged the other one a little too closely. Let's see
I'm
how it
Anderson,
goes. Yeah,
son of-
we heard
That's nice.
you. Oh, she doesn't give
Ain't
a
it?
fuck.
It better be, cause it's a lie, ma'am. They call me long neck short horns, or adder shovel hands, or sometimes even adder shoe face.
I don't know which would be better. The other one, she seemed kind of annoyed, and there was like a play on her.
Voluptuous features.
I don't know which one's better. In all honesty, I guess we'll go with this one, the adder stuff, the blustering whatever.
A mocking chuckle stabbed at Ada's.
Well, let me know what you guys think. Was that the right choice? Let me know.
Feeling even more self-conscious than he thought he was capable of. He held onto his hooves and fixed his gaze on the ground, screaming inside as his face burned.
So it wasn't the contusion after all, huh? You're just like that.
Like what now?
What now?
Funny.
Aww.
Funny? Me? Not one bit, ma'am. I ain't got a funny bone in my body. Doc and I ain't never seen worse jokes than at her scenes.
Oh boy. He's trying so hard.
Hold up. Didn't that sound like a poem just now? Well, darn. A poem ain't nothing but a dull song, Mr. Bard always says so. I'd hate to bore a fine lady such as yourself, so I better get...
No, he's trying to. Oh man.
Bore me? Please. With hands like those, you wouldn't look out of place in a traveling circus, or in some lord's court, if you're any good at juggling.
Oh boy.
In fact, I know a certain gazelle in dire need of entertainment. What do you say? One word from Jacif, and you will be working in a palace tonight.
Oh lord. Oh lordy begordy. What the hell are we getting into?
Ada couldn't quite figure out if that was meant to be an insult or a compliment. But he was quick to decide that it was better to work for someone that didn't talk rather than someone that talked about herself in third person.
I think I'm gonna pass for now, but I'll holler at you next time I'm fresh out of pride, ma'am.
That's a funny way to phrase that.
A deep silence filled the tent. Ada cursed his luck and his good manners. He wanted to run away and hide, fearing that otherwise he'd commit a big mistake. The kind of mistake that would get him called a horn eater for the rest of his life.
Well then, it was sure nice to see you again, but...
Would you like to know your fortune?
Oh, that's an option.
Ada turned on his heel, desperate to find out if her offer was indeed true. There was nothing that betrayed a lie in her words nor her eyes.
Whoa! You're one of those gazelle fortune tellers? For real?
For real, for real?
Let's just say that they looked rather different back in Ada's town.
Well, slap my head and call me silly. I got you pegged all wrong, ma'am. Darn right I'd love to hear it.
You ain't got no money.
Oh, hold up. I lost my bag of coins. I ain't got a single dollar on me, so...
Something flew into the ground right beside Ada's foot.
My bag?
You dropped it right after you crashed the first time. I meant to give it back, but since you were so bent on running through that wall...
Oh, well, that's nice.
You didn't steal from it, did you?
Oh, the fucking tilt is so funny to me.
Steal what? It's just filled with rivets.
Oh, shit.
Aha! That means you opened it.
Hey, clever boy.
So much for wanting to see you again.
Aww.
That was all. You can go now if you want.
Aww. Party over?
A punch to the gut would have hurt Ada infinitely less than her words.
What am I doing? I can't do the voice.
He thought to himself, biting the inside of his cheek. No mere thief would have returned his bag, and sad as that was, no other person had ever gone so far for him. And so he sat down once more, looking at the finely yet scarcely dressed woman in front of him with a mix of embarrassment, naivety, and just plain fear.
I don't suppose you accept rivets as payment.
That would depend on what you're paying for.
Oh, Lord, no!
Getting my fortune told?
Just keep them.
Aw.
Jacif rested her arms over the crystal orb, leaning closer to Ada.
All right! Can you look into the ball thing and tell me how my ma and pa are doing? Did any of my little bros get married yet?
That's cute. But it's a reading glass, not a magic mirror.
Right. How about the weather? Can you give them good harvests?
Aw.
Take your prayers to the temple.
Oh, darn, that won't do either. Alrighty then, how about me? What do you see in this buck's future?
Your future? Why would you want to know anything about that? Life would be boring if you knew what waits around every corner.
What? Maybe I'm just ignorant here, but isn't that what getting your fortune is told? Well, knowing about your future?
I'll read your past and justify your present.
I already know my past, and my present's right where I am right now. What are you gonna tell me?
But I already know this.
Oh, man.
I don't.
Huh.
Her blue eyes spoke like an insinuating whisper. Her fingers walked over the cobblestone ground, headed towards Ada's own hands, as her face got ever so close.
For example, we could talk about why you did what you did for me then, and figure out what I could do to return the favor now.
Oh my, oh my. The sequins that hung from her sash rang as they hit the ground, reminding him once more of her less than modest clothing. But no, she was no dough.
I can't insist, ma'am, that you definitely got the wrong bucket. But even if I ever did anything nice for you in my life, a simple thanks is more than enough payment.
Oh, brother.
I guess you could use a reminder too.
Uh-huh. Let's get a flashback. I want another flashback. This whole game's a flashback, technically, because it's about telling a story about the past. That's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that.
The soothsayer made no attempt to conceal her disappointment, much like no one ever made an attempt to explain to her what's coming on to... What? Oh, yes. Much like no one ever made an attempt to explain to her what coming on too strong means. With apparent tedium, she grabbed the crystal orb and put it right between her face and Ada's. This time, she had no more pretensions than merely watching him.
Oh fire, tell me the secrets in the...
Oh, shit.
Yada yada, stuff and Bezoctet. I don't feel like switching languages now.
A complete lack of professionalism made Ada feel for once at ease. After all, what would he do if he was indeed in front of a Sephi, one of those heinous Baron wizards from far back in time? Cry? Beg? Try to escape? Wait, those were things he had already thought of doing. As Ada was considering the subtle differences in the fears he felt when talking to a girl and imagining being burnt to a crisp by a witch, she watched him. And she kept watching. And then she watched some more. The gazelle lifted her head from behind the glass as she squinted her eyes into fine lines. Whatever she was looking for, she couldn't find. But she still ducked behind the orb once more, hoping to reach some kind of a conclusion. Focused with such intensity that her brows could have split her forehead in two wouldn't have noticed. She pressed her mouth to one side, wiggling her nose, and opened her eyes so wide at him that Ada couldn't help but laugh.
Shush! It's easier with two.
Oh, two eyes, yeah.
She mumbled the last part to herself, but Ada was sure she said eyes.
Oh, what's that? You ain't never done it with a one-eyed deer before?
Oh, the tongue.
Ada pressed his lips together like he wanted to make them disappear. Joseph merely rose an eyebrow. His accidental innuendo made him begin shaking from horns to hooves once more.
Screw this.
Uh-huh. Holy mother of God!
She pushed the orb away and with an exasperated sigh. Before Ada knew what was going on, his face was in her hands and her face right in front of his.
I need to find out if it was you after all. Stay still.
This is a hilarious picture. She's all business and serious, and he's just like, I don't know what's happening.
A drum beat in his ears. That was Ada's heartbeat as she stared at him so intently. There was a lump in his throat. He did his best not to tremble. His eye began feeling heavy, though he tried to hold a gaze. She was muttering something. Words about his past, but her voice became obscured by the noise of the bells, the crackling of the fire, the sound of her own eyelashes batting against one another.
It's really too sodding late to be dealing with pests like you. And yet, here we are, wasting my time and yours.
Well, that's rather rude.
Hey! What's that supposed to...
Ada's complaint vanished at spear point. What?
Oh, holy shit!
2 guards had replaced the gazelle, one old and complacent, and one young, eager, and inches away from stabbing his nose.
Just who do you think you are?
That has to be the same voice actor as Adder. That sounded exactly... It's a different voice, but like, listen again.
Just who do you think you are?
If that's not him, that's spooky.
Who do you think I am?
That was just Steve's voice. But as much as he tried to find her, Ada couldn't see her. In fact, he couldn't even move at all.
What? Ugh, I won't fall for your bar and mind tricks, Gazelle. I don't care if you're Jaseed or Jasood. Only nobles are allowed to walk the royal pathway. No exceptions.
That might not be him after all, now that I've heard that. Who knows? Oh, holy shit!
Ada felt a lump in his throat as he unwillingly looked over the railings that he was leaning against.
I don't suppose you expect me to jump off the bridge.
Oh god.
The younger guard opened his mouth to reply, but his partner cut in line.
Can't you see that you're scaring her, you dimwit? Take a step back!
Yeah, damn straight. You just stop freaking around, goddammit.
What? But she's trespassing.
Just...
The younger guard got smacked in the head for his efforts.
Settle down, boy! You forgot to clean your ears this morning or what? She said she's Jasif. Jasif! This girl's far more than nobility, see? She's a queen!
What?
The queen of the desert, Rose no less. Now that's what I call a fancy title.
Someone trying to be Ron Swanson?
Call it whatever you please. It won't change the fact I am the one and only Jasif, and you are a dear with good taste. You must have heard my name in 100 whispers. So, just imagine how terribly worried Miss Rochelle will be if her favorite girl doesn't make it home before dawn.
We really are catching on to the idea of fucking using your status.
Liar! There's no way the Desert Rose would have someone like you! Your kin shouldn't even be outside after curfew!
Jesus, what a douche.
My kin? You mean gazelles who could buy your whole street?
Oh shit.
So much for the open-minded youth. Forgive this fool, your majesty. He's so uptight I think he sat on his spear. I'm sure you know his kin. A fawn like him wouldn't know royalty if it spat in his face. He's got a point, though. Any gazelle could sneak up here and say she's a queen because she's the daughter of a goat with a bald spot on her head. You understand, right? We can't just take your word for it. Nothing personal, of course, it's just common sense. Here's a thought. Why don't you sway us with a little dance? I'm sure that Jasif would do anything for her subjects.
You fucking creeps.
What are you saying, you numbskull? We're on duty, and she's not even a... three's sake! We should just drag her to the dungeon and end this nonsense!
Now, I'm pretty sure that's not the same guy now. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, spare me the lecture, kid. Hey, do one of those bar and dance things. That'll shut him right up. You know, the one with the fire and the bells and the...
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's fucking nasty.
The elder god cupped his chest and pretended to dance as he cackled, much to the revulsion of everyone involved. Ada could feel the tip of his tongue scraping against his teeth, far smaller than the well-aligned... Smaller and more well-aligned than he ever remembered them being. His patience was growing worryingly thin.
I could dance for you, if you don't mind having an early cremation.
What?
Huh? Was that a threat just now?
Not at all. I'm just pointing out that I'm not dressed for the occasion. It would be a pity if your face was to catch fire and your skin burst into flames, turning your bones to charcoal inside your blazing corpse while your ashes moldered up here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Just because I didn't have a fireproof shirt.
Right. Well, it doesn't look like you have any other way to prove your words, Your Majesty.
Fucking asshole.
I suppose I don't. But I bet my good friend Illigrab could find a way to prove them for me.
Oh, yeah, he'll grab.
And walk you all the way across the city on the off chance we find that fidget arse of a tree sitting at his desk. We don't get paid that much, little lady.
Oh, God.
A victorious smile crossed Ada's face, an opening at last.
I understand now. A discount isn't even remotely enough to cover the entrance cost of the Desert Rose on a poor, hard-working guard's salary. And that's not even adding the price of my performances.
The old guard's eyes shot open as he felt a few coins slipping into his hand.
Don't worry. I'm sure there's some places down the street that are better suited to your taste.
Oh, boy, a bribe.
He remained transfixed by the money a moment longer, till something seemed to click in his head all of a sudden.
Who do you take me for, scamp? We are honor-bound city guards. We won't get buffed by the likes of you.
What? Come on! This was more than enough last time. Why isn't it working now?
The guards didn't react to that sentence at all. It was like they hadn't heard her, when Joseph's voice sounded loud and clear in Ada's ears. That thought passed as soon as it came. The quick, anxious looks the old guard was directing at his partner became the new focus of Ada's attention. The moment they locked eyes, the answer he'd been looking for became evident.
Of course. I should have noticed sooner. He's a new recruit, isn't he? Look at him. So eager and uptight. So focused on proving his worth to the captain. So predictable. You couldn't possibly trust someone like him with a bribe. He's too different from your old partner. But you couldn't trust that one either, could you? No, he knew too much. And he wasn't half as jaded as you are. His heart wasn't really in it. Aha, I see. You had a feeling he would end up going after you. So, you sold him out first. That's why he's here.
How did you?
What? So she's telling the truth! You take bribes?
Oh, shit.
No! Well, maybe if it's enough. I mean, come on! It's just a goddamned bridge! What's the matter if we let rich people in at this point? They're no different from nobles. But I swear, I'd never gotten money from this. No, I'd never even seen this. Gazelle?
Guard's face contorted into a deeply wrinkled scowl. He looked beyond confused, lost. The song was reaching its final notes.
Aw, looks like your friend has a bad case of guilty conscience. That's okay. I'm no one to judge. Just let me go this time. I promise I'll be a good girl and head straight home. You won't even know I've been here.
Ada started to walk, a little spring in his step, as something he barely recognized as his tail wagged behind him. He felt above the moon, completely drunk from his power trip. He was far from safe still. A strong hand clasped at his wrist tightly. This told him all he needed to know. That this body wasn't his body, and his mind wasn't his mind.
But who else could it have been? You are the Jessif, aren't you? You really could buy this whole street if you wanted. It was you! It was you all along! What did you do to me?
What the fuck? This guy's going nuts.
I only gave you money.
You gave me cursed money! No! You cast a spell on me!
Oh, he's trying to blame us, you fuck.
What in the world are you rambling about now? You sound like a madman!
Yeah, that's right! I have gone mad! It's not my fault! I'm not really a crook! She's a Sephi! She must have charmed me to do all those bad things! We're on to you, witch! Confess!
Every last fiber of her body was screaming at her to run. Joseph knew each and every corner of the royal pathways. She could have just hidden somewhere or outran two guards wearing heavy armor. That was the correct option. It was so obvious to her. But that was not the choice she made. She pulled close to him and moved a smirk towards his ear instead.
I wouldn't waste any magic on you.
Oh, shit. There wasn't any trace of fear in Joseph's mind as the guard grabbed her collar and pushed her against the railing. Not a speckle of resignation. It wasn't bravery either. It was nothing but anticipation. And I didn't know the name of the eerie warmth that was creeping onto her chest as he watched the tip of his spear turn towards him in slow motion. He never felt anything quite so peaceful and thrilling before. But to her, this lost battle seemed to be worth as much as a victory. After all, she had been playing with fire her whole life. Getting burnt was an eventuality she had to be ready to accept for years. She was tired of making choices. Fractions of a second before the end of her life could be sentenced, a scream shook the night.
Get your mitts off her, you creep!
There we go. There he is. Oh, Christ.
Everyone turned around and looked at some idiot yelling all the way down on the ground.
Think you could just bother her last because she looks good enough for second helpings and then dessert? Well, you can't, alright?
Yep, that's him. That's Fat Adder, too.
That's radish stew, and you'd make your mom cry if they knew. Let her go!
What the fuck does that mean?
Ada had most certainly gone crazy.
What the? Oh, get lost, Sanford! This is official city business! It's got nothing to do with you!
Jesus.
City business, my ass!
Ooh.
You're holding a gal up against the wall! I ain't got nothing to do with it, but it's still got everything to do with me! If it's so official, I'm gonna scream till the whole city wakes up and sees this!
Oh, shit.
No, you're not! Do something, rookie! Get rid of that drunkard!
What, you want me to throw my spear at some poor horn-eater now?
Who are you calling a horn-eater? Just hold up there!
Ada, the pudgy version of Ada, that is, wasn't concerned.
What the fuck is that noise?
Wasn't concerned with matters such as his complete lack of grace, agility, or strength. Moved by his sense of justice, he began climbing the column that led to the royal pathway. Of course, he'd never made it.
Hey! Are you still alive? Horn-eater!
Aw, poor kid! We can't just leave him to die all on his own!
Got Lieutenant Surge from the Pokemon anime. Like,
Oh, poor baby! Guess he'll be jumping off the bridge yet, witch.
Puzzling as the scene was, Jasif realized that she didn't have another second to lose. With the guard's hands still firmly wrapped around her collar and pushing her back, Jasif threw all her weight on one leg, using her tail as leverage to complete a practice spin that ended with her knees sinking deep between the deer's legs. Oh, drop him like a sack of potatoes! He immediately dropped to the ground, but it wasn't quite enough to knock him out.
You little...
That's enough. Let's go.
But she kicked me! And she's a witch! She's...
I have no clue what this gazelle is or what she's not, but I can tell just fine what you are. I'm not leaving you another second with her. Get that old ass back to the barracks or I'm telling Illigrab what you just did!
Ooh, a little bit of justice, a little bit of comeuppance, a little bit of crow you're gonna have to eat, old ass motherfucking creep. You are going down. It was the older guard's turn to go pale. He lowered his helmet and began limping in the other direction. The younger guard, however, stood in front of her a moment longer.
You, go home and don't let me catch you up here again.
Jasif only allowed herself to breathe easy again once both guards had disappeared from sight. Pride filled her lungs faster than air.
Good riddance.
She wasn't quite out of the woods yet, but she decided to savor this victory, a moment of peace, which Jasif took to look over the railings one last time. Her wannabe savior now lay unconscious on the ground after hitting his head during the fall. And in spite of how miserable the scene was, Harry could feel a smile forming on her face. He finally understood that, crazy or not, he was seeing what she was seeing, the way she saw it.
Did I scare him good?
Huh? You're awake? How in the name of oblivion can you be conscious after a fall like that? You must be at least 5 stories high. Are we even trying to... No. That doesn't matter now. Are you hurt? Should I call a doctor?
Are you alright, ma'am?
No, I'm not hurt. So, yes, that was nothing. I'm fine, thank you.
And that's all this buck needs to feel fit as a fiddle.
What? No, I'm rather certain that's not how bodies work.
Oh, no, ma'am. You're thinking normal deer. I'm something else entirely.
Drunk. Drunk is what you must be.
I sure hope not. Would be a real shame if some barrel fever ruined the memory of your pretty face.
Aww.
It wouldn't make much of a difference either way.
What was that, ma'am?
Cad! You are a cad! Does this look like a good time to be flirting to you?
A distant yell bounced through the columns, nearly sending Jesse's heart straight out of her chest.
Don't know about flirting, but it sure looks like a good time to get walking.
Then get up and walk! I can't just leave you to your fate now!
No, you ain't. You ain't leaving no one, ma'am. Slum dwellers like me come a door a dozen. I'll just play dead for a while and see if I could spend the night in the morgue.
Oh, man. More patrols were surely drawing closer by the minute, demanding she made a choice pronto.
This doesn't end here, understood? I will make it up to you somehow, so don't you dare die until then! Promise you won't forget it!
Whoa, wait, hold up. Who am I supposed to look for? I didn't even catch your...
Neither had understood why she chose to run then, but she ran. She ran before that pitiful buck lying on the ground could finish voicing his request, pretending she hadn't heard him. But the answer she didn't give to the question he couldn't ask lingered a little longer in the space between old hopes and delusions, a sight that Ada found too engrossing to realize he was being left behind. Now the gazelle was far out of his reach, and with every step he felt her slipping away from his grasp a little further. He tried to keep up, but his legs wouldn't respond as if it wasn't to her command. He tried to breathe, but he wasn't the master of his own lungs. His sight went dark, and his ears turned deaf, a violent torrent of foreign thoughts clobbering his brain as his mind dissolved back into the nether. And as suddenly as he'd left, he found himself, one-eyed, famished, and back in the tent. Indeed, this had to be him. The same gazelle who was still breathing over his snout, blue eyes fixed on him with the intensity of a burning sun. But who cares about having a half-naked beauty all over their body? Not Ada anymore, no! A million questions filled his mind. Was that real life? Was it just fantasy? Really? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eye, look up to the sky and see. I'm just a poor deer. I need no sympathy. Oh shit, I almost fell out of my chair. Was any more of his memory slipping through the many cracks in his flogged skull? Or had starvation finally started to take a toll upon his very brain? As was usually the case, however, his lips refused to wait for a finished script. He raced past Ada's mind, offering an answer to the only question he had never even asked. Sep? This word, so short and unassuming, seemed to awaken something in a girl that Ada was almost too dazed to recognize. You couldn't tell yet why her ears perked up, why his gaze was immediately drawn to her horns and the beautiful mass of red locks she was desperately pulling behind them. Disconcert washed away all conceit from her expression. It took away all the mesmerizing superiority from her eyes. Yes, she looked honestly and utterly tiny for a moment. Scared.
Where did you hear that?
Where did I... Oh! Ma'am, you're okay! You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I heard you say it just now. But not now. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's gonna not make you sound crazy.
I was
at
under
all.
Hirup's statue. I mean, you were, but I was you and not me because I was trying to save you, but I fell on my face and those guards laughed at me and, just how the hell did I forget any of this? Why can't I remember?
Oh, Lord.
You're a gaze reader.
What'd you just call me?
Anger hit her like a wave as the shock disappeared.
Why didn't you say so? Get away from me!
Oh, hell.
The fire in the orb began flickering erratically, casting disturbing shadows all over the tent.
Whoa, what's going on? What in the name of Atza did I do now? Was I supposed to say something? Thank you. That the magic word?
Do you seriously expect me to believe that you...
Hold on. Sep? It was Sep, wasn't it? Oh crap, I just went and cussed a lady out in Gazelle speak, didn't I?
She looked at him with skepticism, her eyes squinted with barely concealed anger. She was clearly sizing him up.
No. You really don't have a clue of what you just did, do you?
I reckon that's how he feels most of the time about most things.
Ma'am, if I ever got a clue in my life, it wasn't today. I'm just glad you're alright and that guard is in the dungeon or dead or something.
Her expression relaxed just a little as she considered Ada's words. Our poor boy had more than enough trying to get some air into his lungs.
Then you're telling me that you're a natural gaze reader? Do you even understand what this means?
Do I have to say yes or no to get out of here alive?
A small chuckle erased the tension from her face. Ada felt even more confused upon seeing this.
I was trying to read your gaze, but you read mine instead. It's called gaze because we invented it. So, it's true what they say about yellow deer. You must have Barhan blood.
I'm sure he's thrilled to hear that.
Ada would have normally disputed the last affirmation. Roe deer took pride in being real deer. No gazelle blood at all. No 100% deer with don't have horns. What the fuck? But this was clearly not the moment nor the company to say that.
In Sirnar, please.
You read my mind.
Say what?
Say what now?
I think I'm not the funny one here, Missy.
Uh-oh.
The gazelle seemed way too amused with this development.
No, it makes so much sense. I was wondering why you spent so much time looking at my face.
Yeah, it was that, yes.
Hear me out. I'm sure you've always been really good at getting people's feelings. But not smart enough to actually understand them.
Uh-huh.
You're like some kind of savant hick. That's hilarious.
Oh, fuck. A wrinkle formed over Ada's snout. That was quite enough.
My name is Adder, not Hick, Miss Sep. Now why'd you go hiding such a cute little name, I wonder?
Her face went back to being a little more than a pretension of grandeur. But she held the fire close to her. She didn't look all that different from a child hugging a blanket, soothed by the rhythm of the bells she wore. Ada couldn't help but notice that her alarming clothing didn't even bother him anymore.
It's just a stupid nickname someone gave me. I hadn't heard it in years. They call me Jasif now.
Jasif. That disgusting Godwell said that was no average name, and much less for a Barhan.
Ain't that something like Queen in Gazelle speak?
Bazaktet. And yes, that's a valid translation. Do you have any qualms about it?
Ada did not have any qualms per se, nor any remote idea what that word meant to begin with, but he certainly had opinions on her supposed royalty.
Do queens say, I'm queen, or no, my queen? I don't fucking know, but panicking does not usually help much, so...
I don't know what that word means, but I like Sep better. Sep.
Oh, we got a fucking thing! Time to go to the encyclopedia. Here we go. Known as Jasif Sep ?
It's the braid, isn't it? Oh, I knew it. Species Barhan. Birthplace ? She calls herself Sep, but does not want others to call her Sep, and gets all bothered when they do. So I am 100% going to call her Sep here. Sep talks, walks, and acts like there was a single star in the sky, and it was her. However, the saucy gazelle that cares so very little for others' personal space is, in reality, 1 part haughty enchantress and 2 parts bored child. Most people would at least be somewhat concerned about girls that go around calling themselves queen and saying they're old acquaintances. But then again, Ada is no one to talk.
And then there's something really fucking small in it. Barahan fortune teller was a very common euphemism back then, by the way. I don't... Okay. Okay. Cool. Have fun. Oh,
Do not call me that.
Oh.
It's just a stupid...
Oh, shit.
Calling yourself queen is a whole lot sillier, Sep.
Uh-oh.
Sep's lip trembled in anger, but Ada just shrugged. That's what she got for picking on him. The redhead tensed her whole body, and when she was about to reply, she decided instead to just look away.
Are you all right?
She turned her face sharply towards his. There was something different in the way she was looking at him.
Adder, right?
That's me.
He took a hand to his heart and bowed his head as an instinctive greeting, accidentally clashing his horns against hers.
How? How the fuck? What angle was he doing that at?
I was surprised to find out that somehow he was that was a lot less gross than he thought it'd be. He didn't know how to feel about this appreciation.
Didn't you want to know your future? Then listen closely.
Uh-oh. It's like, if you keep calling me that, I'm gonna kill you or some shit. Oh, I remember this picture. This was a thumbnail at one point.
She put her mouth right next to his ear and whispered,
You're coming with me tonight.
At the same time or one before the other? I'm just asking.
Where?
You really are one of a kind. Come to the Desert Rose when the lights are all out. My room is on the first floor, but climbing there should be easier than climbing the bridge at the very least.
What's the Desert Rose? Locations? Heartache District? No. Dictionary? Lore? Well, can I just click on the Desert Rose? No?
Wait.
Okay.
Climb? Room? There you go saying weird stuff again. I'm not a thief, and I'm not a hoarding...
What happened?
With that previous warning, the fire in the orb extinguished, leaving the room in total darkness. Ada didn't even have time to feel alarmed. He felt her hands on the back of his head, and the next he knew, her lips were over his. His mind shut up completely.
See you later.
Oh my. He couldn't even stop to consider how he felt about that before the kiss was over. With his mind still in a daze, he got up and turned around to leave. For a few moments he stood frozen outside the tent, merely appreciating the cool dusk breeze on his fur. By the time his thoughts began making any sense, he was already running home at full speed, crying disconsolately about the realization that he was, in fact, a horn-eater.
Okay, yeah, let's take a break here. I couldn't agree more. This is already at 50 minutes. Let's go ahead and save, and that'll be a good way to start the next episode. A review, as it were. That makes sense. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of the Hayseed Night. I fucking love this game and all the hard work that went into it. If you want to play this game for yourself, it is on Steam. It's in development, so be kind, but the link's in the description down below. Also in the description are various ways to support me, either by following me on my various other platforms or through places like Patreon, Coffee, YouTube membership, stuff like that, if you are so inclined. If you want to be notified when future episodes of this series come out, the subscribe button and notification bell are the ways you need to go for that. And if you don't want to wait for that to watch more stuff that I have already done, I have linked to some of my previous works in the cards up above. They've popped up throughout this video, hopefully, unless you're watching this on like a TV or some shit. I don't know how that fucking works. But either way, thank you all very much for watching, folks, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone!